Hello gamers, back with another episode of Beyond the Emulator. In this episode I will be showcasing off Crossmix 1.3.0 on my Trimui, how it was set up. This video is being added also to my Discord page. So sit back, grab your device and follow along to see if there's something you can adjust to get better gameplay and performance as we are going to be going Beyond the Emulator. And lastly, if you enjoy these handheld videos, please drop a like and maybe subscribe to my page. I've also created a Trimui Retro helpline on Discord if you're interested. My details are below. Again, thank you and enjoy. Now, without keeping you in suspense, let's get started. So what I've got here is just quickly showcasing off is Crossmix 1.3.0. The only thing that I've actually updated, plus some applications on here and games, is the PPSSPP. There was a version of 1.19 that came out, and I updated that, so I'll show you the versions that are available. But basically, this is my completed Crossmix setup on my firmware build. And what I've got here is just going to run down my emulators and show you basically what my preferred emulator is being used for each of the platforms that I've got available. So kind of running down the line, they're actually using RetroArch 1.18.0. So I made some adjustments here. So actually the only thing I'm seeing right now is just emulators, apps, and settings. I'll show you how you can trim that down on your settings. So you might not get a lot of these tabs that are up here unnecessary if you don't want them. Just kind of gives me a cleaner look of what I want. I'm not really fond of favorites at this moment. I can make a note of it here in the game as well as a collection. So, because I'm swapping out games all the time to test. So going down the line, I'm just kind of running down what I wrote down in my book. We're going to go with Dreamcast. So if we select that, this is my list of games with artwork. If I were going to go ahead and press X, as you can see the cores that are available. The one that I actually recommend is the Flycast version 2.4 with retro achievements. So just again to give you a heads up, it's a standalone. If I were going to press X to go ahead and select it, it's going to bring me right back into my game. If I were going to go ahead and press menu key, it gives me my settings, which allows me to do a few options there. So B to exit out, just to kind of show you that Dreamcast, what that option is. And it does have the auto save, auto load. So going to my next platform that I've got, go ahead and get back out of here. Froze up for a second. Sorry about the delay here. It entirely froze up. Interesting. I've been running it for a while, doing some testing. So we're booting it back up, and being that I've used Spruce OS on this device, it actually had its boot logo. So there we go. We're back in business. Ran right back into Crossmix. So we've followed through on the Dreamcast. Let's go over to the Game Boy. If I go ahead and select here, I've got one game. I go to my X to give my selection. I actually recommended for the Game Boy is Gambit. So that is actually their default, I believe. Works really well, not a problem. So we're going to go ahead and get out of that. We've got Game Boy Advance. So we're going to go ahead and select that selection. I've got quite a few games that are here. And my preferred emulator core from RetroArch is MGBA. So that's what I'm using on that one. But you can see there's actually a selected choice of them if you want to try some different cores. See if there's any different performance. We're going to go back out of there. We've got Game Boy Color. It actually is as well. I've got one game there. I'm using the Gambit core as well, but you see there's a few other choices. Go ahead and get out of that. We're going to go to the Genesis. I've got one game over there, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Trying to get it set up if I can do a net play with it. Go ahead and look at the cores. I've got the Pico Drive, the Genesis Plus GX, or the GX Wide, which gives you a 16.9 screen. But I'm just actually going with the standard Genesis Plus GX. If I were going to go ahead and just select it, it's going to open up my RetroArch. As you can see, my core was showing there. Should be able to go to my load setting. And I'm back in the game. Easy as that. And you can see if I go to advanced menu, you can see down in the bottom left hand corner version 1.8.0 and the core that we're using, Genesis Plus GX. So we'll go ahead and close out of that content. And we'll go down to Nintendo 64. They've actually quite a few of them. So we're going to go over and select theirs. And if I go over here to their X, see, you can see the retro cores that are RetroArch cores, parallel, Mupen 64 Plus, Mupen 64 Plus 16.9 to give you a better screen. The standalones are very nice. They work really well. But the hotkeys for them are very limited, so it's hard to be able to have a save and a load. It will allow you to do it, but to be able to go back, there's no real save location like the other cores that are being used in RetroArch. So for playing like maybe a race car game or something very short play, the standalones work really nice. If you'd like, images look really great on them. So, but my typical one is the Mupen 64 Plus. It seems to be most used across the other firmwares and does really well based on Crossmix, so we'll leave it at that one. Going down the line to Nintendo DS, they don't have a very large selection, but I've been playing Ridge Racer DS and it's worked really well. But if I go over to my cores to get my selection, we're using a drastic. You can have a choice of overlay or no overlay. I'm going to prefer no overlay. I don't need to have extra screen art on it. And I'm actually using what is the nearest based on their filter, and I've actually got really nice quality on it. So that is my preference, going down to the drastic, no overlay, and nearest. And then we're going to go over to my next page, and I've got Nintendo NES. So we'll go ahead and select that. So I've got a few games here. If I go to X, I've got actually, they've selected as their default this FCUMM core. There's also the Nestopia, the QuickNES, and the Mesen as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little testing with those 4 cores a little bit deeper with a couple games, as well as a couple other platforms. So I've included below in my details on my page here on my channel is the 4 cores that are available. And if you want to take a challenge and see if you can find something that works better for maybe some of your games. So I haven't done really any further testing. I would like to get some more on it. So then we go over to PSP, and we've got a selection of games, all with the artwork. If I go ahead and press X, I've got a wide range of cores that are available. We've got the 1.19.3 in both choices of OpenGL or Volcon. Excuse me. My preferred is right now the 1.19.3 OpenGL. It seems to work really well. And those were actually added, and I've got a video in my channel as well showing how to do that upgrade. And then the original that came with Crossmix was the 1.17 and the 1.15 as well. So if you go down here, you've also got down as well based on performance. If you set up your performance CPU to 2000 megahertz, it's going to help it a little bit better for running some games. But we're not getting, again, 100% full performance even when we're running Gods of War. So still playing around with a lot of that. So go ahead and get out of that. We're going to go over to PlayStation. They've got actually quite a few different cores. Medal of Honor. So you've got the standard PSSX rearmed, which is the most common one from RetroArch. But again, there's also the offering a Duck Station, Swan Station, and then Swan Station 16.9. Again, if you're going to play a short game maybe or something, Swan Station or Duck Station work really well because they're more of a standalone the way they run, even though it's a RetroArch core, I believe on the Swan Station maybe. But you might get a little bit better performance on playing short-term games versus some long-term games that seem to work best on the rearmed core, which is what I recommend using. Going down the line, let's see, we've got Super NES, which is going to wrap up this on my platforms. And again, I'm going to do some testing on the PlayStation and the Super NES as well, just trying to see which cores work best for maybe some games. If you've got some recommendations, go ahead and let me know. So here as well on the Super NES, we've got about 5 different cores. They're all RetroArch. So I'm going to do a little bit more testing, find a game. If you've got a game that you suggest on Super NES, NES, or PlayStation, I'm willing to test out, maybe try it on a different few cores. I don't talk much about ports, but when you go to ports on Crossmix, there's quite a few games that do work really well. If I do go ahead and click on ports, it's going to go ahead and give me a wide range, and I felt like quite a few of these games have actually worked really well. If I'm going to go with Tuhao, Cerno, and Streets of Frogs, I believe that works. No, I have not set that up. But let's go with Undertale. Oh, we have been very unsuccessful at this moment. We'll go with Paletro, which I believe I did in one of my previous videos on Portmaster. Oh my goodness, we are not experiencing anything with Portmaster today. So we're going to move on. So a couple selective apps that I wanted just to let you know that do work well with Crossmix. So if we go over to our apps, actually, if we go down the line, Moonlight, I actually set it up with my PC last night and pinned and connected. I was able to get right onto Steam. It worked really well. I've got a good image. I had a good connection. So I do know that that actually works. Couple things, USB storage, which is actually nice because you can actually connect to your PC if you needed to transfer files to eliminate taking out your SD card on this. System Tools provides a lot that you can set up for your themes and a few other options. Not really going to get into that today. You've got, of course, your RetroArch with retro achievements. You've got Portmaster, which will work. EmuCleaner, you've got an artwork scraper. A couple things that I've added and shown off some videos is EmuDrop. It's a ROM manager. Locate some games. Plunder as well is a ROM manager to locate some games. And then JukaHub, which is also called Tube Explorer, is a YouTube video application that works as well. And then just so you know, a couple little tricks here. If I were to press menu and select, I'm going to get a subscreen. You can see this subscreen that Trimui provides up here. My temperature actually is showing my device is 35.4 and my CPU right now is 1200. If I were going to go ahead and get out of this and I were to go ahead and flip my function switch, which is off, and turn it back on, I believe if I go back to my menu and my CPU actually should be rising, because it's knowing it's going into CPU high performance. What we can do is we can actually bounce out of this. Let's go over to an emulator. Let's go randomly to PSP. Again, let's go with Castlevania, I guess, or we can go with Jak and Daxter. I'm going to go press X. We're going to go with the PPSSPP 1.19.3 OpenGL. Go ahead and select. See if I have a save state in it. Just show you a quick. Should be getting almost about 60 frames per second. So if I go over here to my load state. Oh, it crashed on me. Darn it. But if I go to my menu and select, we're still sitting at 1200. So being that we're not playing any game, kind of a weak little show off of that. I apologize. But again, that just kind of gives you going into settings as well. We'll go to the last page before we wrap this up. You can go to home page. And if you go down and do tab visibility, this is where you can turn off your tabs. So these are the only tabs that I'm showing off right now. Is emulators, ports, applications. If I wanted to set up and have my most recent, I could click on that. Go ahead and get out of it. And now it's going to show me my most recents. So just a quick tip to show off as well. So that's a wrap on the Crossmix show off. Again, thanks for watching.